everybody, my dad thinks his podcast is amazing, so please subscribe, give it 5 stars or whatever, and maybe he'll finally stop talking about it. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Sober as Fuck, Thanksgiving edition. So before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now YouTube. So make sure that you go to all those platforms, like, review, comment, share, subscribe. We don't charge for subscriptions. We want to keep this channel, completely free and accessible so that anybody who can benefit from it, whether you're struggling with addiction or not, is able to do so. Mm-hmm. So if you know somebody, share it. On that same note, we have our merch on today. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening, it's our Sober as Fuck merch. We do have Christmas merch, and it is available to order for sale now. I actually have a Hanukkah shirt that I've made too. I just haven't gotten it yet. So I'll wear that as we get closer.
We can probably post that on Instagram since everybody's going to be hearing it around Thanksgiving too, if you want to order that. These, we are selling out of the most common sizes, so to say. So if you're still wanting any of the Sober as Fuck Christmas shirts, make sure you DM us on Instagram so that we can get those orders fulfilled for you as soon as possible so you can get those within the next couple of weeks. As this airs.
Yeah, and they're pretty customizable, depending on
different
what color you want.
Stuff,
so
whatever you want.
We're still working on the website. That's kind of like a work in progress. We want to make all of our merch affordable, and we're finding with a website, it kind of jacks the price up a little bit.
And good quality. We're not selling shit.
Right. So I know that we had dropped something about like website coming soon, and we're still working on it, but right now, just order directly from us. That way we can kind of keep our cost lower for everybody. Shorty got low
Very
cost. Low. So anyways, what are we talking about? And it's just us. We have no
Yes, it's us for Thanksgiving. Kind of what we're, I guess, thankful for this week. I've hit some milestones over the past few weeks, which has been really cool. I hit 18 months sober.
Nice.
Which was amazing. I completed my 75 hard or the Live Hard challenge for a full year of 75 hard. I've completed that.
That's impressive.
Thank you. And I thought I would kind of take a day or two off.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No, it didn't fucking happen. So I'm still doing it every day. Mine is the only thing I haven't been doing is going outside every day. Just kind of putting together a couple hours of workout a day. Not always going outside just because, with having a treadmill inside and stuff like that, it's just whatever.
You mean you didn't enjoy walking outside in 30-degree weather?
I did yesterday. I really did too. I was out, it was like 33 degrees or some shit. And I got out, I had shorts on, but I had a hoodie and my mask on. So I looked like SWAT team walking around.
I think the cold showers did that to you. Now you're like oddly addicted to the cold.
It's not. It's not bad at all. I don't mind it.
I'm snuggled up in bed this whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Another milestone that we've kind of hit as a family is you're about to hit 6 months of no alcohol, which is
that's right.
Pretty damn impressive considering.
That's right.
You didn't really have a problem with it. You just you quit.
That's right. We don't really talk about it a lot. Yeah. I know I've kind of talked about how I'm not drinking for my own personal reasons. But yeah, I think the last drink I had, we were on vacation in Florida at the beach.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like the way it made me feel. Mm-hmm. My belly was hurting. My head was hurting. And I remember I was like, I don't think I'm going to drink anymore. And, this is definitely the difference between sort of addict mind and not addict mind. But I didn't do it like consciously, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I just don't like the way this makes me feel. makes me
Makes you
feels, makes me
Gives you
feels
the
in my
feels.
feels. And then the other day, you and I were talking about it, and I said, I haven't had a drink in a really long time. And I calculated it back, and it's December 1st.
December 1st, yeah.
It'll be 6 months. And I really honestly think that it is a forever thing for me.
That's
I really
impressive.
do. I think it's a forever thing.
To hear that mindset from you is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it's a forever thing.
Incredible.
I don't, alcohol has about destroyed almost every person I love and adore. And it just doesn't bring me anything positive. And I don't have a problem with drinking. And I think that people who can moderate, which I can very responsibly moderate. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think that alcohol is a good fit for me. So yeah, I've actually even thought about joining Reframe just because I am no longer drinking, and I think that there's a lot of meetings that I could benefit from.
Especially as we talked about before, like we talked about with static, neurodivergent meeting, I think would be really good for you.
Yeah, and you've told me about some of the meetings, obviously not details, but like you told me, like, these are some of the subject matters and stuff.
Yeah, some of them I think would really, you would really benefit from. I mean, and I think a lot of people would too, even if you're just, and they do have like a cutback track where you're cutting back on drinks, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people can benefit.
I do too. If you hear any banging in the background, which I don't know if it's going to come through, it's our cat. I'm sure a lot of you guys can understand this, and they may not be able to hear it, but I'm like, let's just talk about the elephant in the room if you can.
That's driving me nuts. That's all I hear.
She
banging on the door.
Bangs on the door.
And all I hear is that Dr. Phil.
Yeah, because of that reel that we did. That's funny. So if you hear banging, like it's not a child or I guess it is an animal, but not like a beast. Back to me not drinking, and then we'll move on. But, something that I have noticed in this, because I think that whether you have a problem with alcohol or not, when you give anything up, you do notice sort of some dependency that was there that you didn't realize. I've caught myself thinking just internally, like, I'm really sad or whatever. I'm going to have, maybe I should have a glass of wine. And I never do. It's not like a fluid thought.
Just something that goes through your head because you're used to it.
Yeah. Or like we'll go out to have a nice dinner and I'm like, oh, a glass of wine would be good with this. But I immediately catch myself going, but I don't really mean that. It's like an automatic thought.
Yeah.
And it instantly dissipates. So maybe there's more sort of like muscle memory and dependency there than even I wanted to admit to myself. And I think that's something to dive into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a forever thing for me.
And it's been, every time we go out to dinner now, I've noticed and it's funny, you've kind of adapted the Janae way of thinking where, she's challenging people to make mocktails.
I do. That's my new favorite thing. So Janae, if you're listening...
Which is pretty cool because, every time we go out, it's first thing you ask is, do you have any tasty mocktails? And even when they don't have them, sometimes they come up with something really cool and yummy for you. Which is
so far, my favorite mocktail to order is a mojito, a non-alcoholic mojito.
Yeah, they're good. Very refreshing.
They're very refreshing. They're really good. And I really like them. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And something that I think that we're going to do is we're going to start sort of a Christmas mocktail situation. I think I'm even going to play around with a couple for Thanksgiving on Thursday, because I think almost everyone, with the exception of like one or two people who are coming on Thursday in our family, pretty much everybody is not. No, I don't think anybody's going to drink.
Yeah. And even if they do, I don't think they need to or would even want to.
Yeah, I mean, even if they and if they did, it would just be whatever. But I mean, I think it's gonna, it's our house is pretty much the sober house now. Yeah. The non-moonshine house.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But yeah, 6 months. Got me.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm really proud of myself for that.
And speaking of Thanksgiving and family, over this past, I don't know, week and a half. By the way, I did start therapy, which was cool. And I loved it. which was crazy. You know, I figured I'd have to, and I may still have to go through, you know, a few different therapists. But this first one was really good, and she gave me a lot of good tools that I haven't had before for my driving anger, which was really good. So I had some printouts and journaling some stuff on that. And it was funny because last week I went out of town for work in driving, and there was a couple of people that, you know, they may have pissed me off a little bit, cut me off or whatever. And it was funny because when that happened, I didn't think of the tool. I thought of her telling me the tool, which made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I was laughing about it instead of, you know, fuck you. What do you, you know, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? Why aren't you driving like me? So it's kind of funny how that actually worked. And then I was laughing at myself for laughing about her. And I don't know, it was just kind of this cool moment. Like, wow, yeah, that really doesn't do anything for me other than waste energy on being mad about something you can't fucking control.
Well, and I think that's what therapy teaches you, right? Like that in that moment, how big of a deal is it? Like I always tell Lily, you can be mad, but you cannot be mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, nothing wrong with being upset. Just
right.
don't be an
About
asshole.
you can be, I mean, anger is a normal emotion.
Right.
I mean,
of course
watch,
it is.
Inside Out. Hello.
Mm-hmm. Great movie.
It is a great movie. I haven't seen the second one, but you just can't be mean. And I think that that's just a very simple way of saying that, like you talk about everywhere, especially in therapy, you know, your emotions and your feelings are there. Mm-hmm. Like when you try to like fight those and push those away, that's when things get sticky.
Yeah.
Because you can't. You're fighting a battle you're going to lose. But what you can do is you can recognize how you feel and sort of just process or pause until you figure out what to do with that. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think it's funny that you heard your therapist. I mean, that's great. You have to tell her that. But to kind of lead back into what you were talking about that we've kind of been dealing with over the past 2 weeks, you know that I am semi-spiritual and believe like universe provides and stuff like that. Sure. I do not personally find it a coincidence that you started therapy like right before things are happening in our lives. And it's nothing with us. I feel like we should like calm people down. And it's nothing like traumatic.
No, it was just, you know,
personal
things. Yeah. And things, and it always happens with me, right? You know, things are going really well. Things are just going along really good, whether, you know, work, home, you know, workouts, like everything. It's like I'm hitting on all cylinders. It's kind of like the old Ryan comes up like, well, when's the next shoe gonna fall, right? Mm-hmm. And it did with a family member, and it was really, it's the first time I've gone through something like this
on this side,
on this side of it not being the problem. And it took me a couple days, but like, you know, for 2 days I was just like trying to maybe tell her, you know, I know what the problem is. I know, you know, they're having an issue with this. And I may even said something to them about it, like, you know, you've got a problem, here's blah, blah, blah. And then I thought about it and I thought, you know, that's fucked up, me being on this side of it and trying to tell somebody what other people used to tell me.
And it doesn't solve anything.
No, it's almost like, and it's not an attack, but that's what it felt like when I was in that position.
Well, it is, I want to correct you, and I don't mean this in a negative, it is a little bit of an attack, right? It's that whole, like, you're mad.
But sometimes it's not. You know, it's somebody just trying to be nice and reaching out, but you feel like, you know, they're trying to attack me or they're trying to get in my business, that kind of shit, right? And it hit me really hard because, you know, I was that person. Mm-hmm. So it was really tough. And I mean, I'm getting emotional about it now because I know what it's like to be in that position, and it's fucking hard, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard when you feel like you're getting ganged up on and there's nothing you can do to crawl your way out of this hole.
And there's nothing that anybody can say to you or threaten to you or point out that's darker than your own thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the part too is.
And when you got it, and when you're, it's almost like, and this person is not at their rock bottom by any means, but it feels like it. And it feels like when you're in that, that well, you just, nobody's bringing you a bucket down to get you out because the only person that can save you is yourself.
It's an inside job.
And until you change your mindset that, okay, I can claw my way out of this. I can dig my way out of it. You're stuck. You're stuck in a fucking rut and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're literally like, there is no light. I'm never going to get out of this. But it takes time. Like anything else, you're not going to solve your problem in a day, a week, sometimes not even a month, a year. It takes a long time. I mean, I've shared about it before. I've lost everything. I have been where I've literally had fucking nothing in my life and had to dig my way out of it. But it wasn't something that happened overnight. It always takes time, and it's hard to get people to understand that. I see it a lot in sobriety in my community. It's almost like, we talked about before, future tripping. Somebody that's a week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks, like, man, I can't wait to be 100 days. Man, I can't wait to be a year, because that's all they're thinking about. It's like, no, worry about today. What can we do today to better ourselves, better our situation? Because when you do that, the time just adds up. The time goes away. And then all of a sudden you're on the other side of it and you didn't even realize it. And then you're looking back thinking, man, it's almost like enjoying the journey. As shitty as that is, enjoying it because you want to remember it so you never fucking go back to that again.
It's funny that you say that because this morning I called my brother on my way to take Lily to school. And I talked to him pretty much all the way there and all the way back. And he's coming in. We started out calling him being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see you day after tomorrow. I'm so excited.
So cool,
just like, I was so excited because my brother is like my favorite person in the whole world. And I was explaining to him sort of the situation and just kind of, reaching out because I went through it for 20 years with him, and he's not only doing better, but thriving. And I always make a point to say that. And he had pointed out that exact point. He was like, I look back on my darkest days and when I was at my lowest, and I didn't know it then, but those moments and those struggles and all that pain, like it was preparing me for something like so incredible. And I just hope, that's all we can do, hope that that it does the same thing for this person, that this person is able to take these things that are happening and push them forward. And again, it's an inside job, right? Like when we offer assistance and do this and are loving and open doors and all of that, we do it for that person, but we also do it for ourselves.
Of course. Yeah.
So not to hijack the conversation, but it definitely bleeds into this. Yesterday was a horrible mental health day for me. Like terrible. And I've never had thoughts of self-harm or anything like that. I know that that's a very big thing for people. Mine doesn't really go that direction. But my OCD we actually tried to film this podcast and my OCD got the best of me and it was terrible. And then, my mom passed away in April and I became estranged from her about a year before she passed away. So there's a lot to unpack there. And with this person, this family member in our lives who's struggling, it sort of like triggered a lot of those things. And the holidays have already been difficult, right? Like, that. It's been very hard to decorate, to do stuff. And I'm not isolating. Like I'm forcing myself to do it. But, Christmas was my mom's favorite holiday and the Christmas tree was like her thing. So decorating the tree has been a task. But with this situation, something I told you, and the reason it was triggering is I said, the last time I closed the door on someone who was exhibiting behavior that I didn't agree with. And there's way more to it that we can have a whole podcast about. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs. She died.
Mm-hmm.
Just to say it completely clear. She died. And that is a permanence unlike anything I've ever felt. And losing her is by far, I mean, not even in the same universe, the hardest thing I've ever done. And all I've wanted to do is like lock myself in a room and just get the holidays over with. And then her birthday's in January, and then her
Just
1
like
year's in April.
One thing after
and I told you,
another.
I mean, I came in your office and I was literally sobbing, and I was like, it just feels like it's never going to end. And it's not.
Mm.
So it is about my mom, but it's also not about my mom, because then that also bleeds over into this other situation. And, where's that balancing act? I should have done better with my mom, not to change anything. It would not have changed anything, but I should have been more of a compassionate person.
Sure.
I should have been just more compassionate. And it's about meeting people where they are at.
Mm-hmm.
So, with our family member, encouraging them, like, spend time with your family.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
It really is. I mean, and that's,
but that's also very daunting too.
Well, that's to us too. Like, to us, that's like the best medicine, right?
But
spend time with your family.
They may not be ready to face all that.
They may not be ready for any of that. Mm-hmm. So it's, it's just opening that door, being positive, being part of the solution, not being part of the problem.
Right.
And that to me, that was a big insight for me. When was that? Yesterday, I think, when we sat down and talked about it, I'm like, I feel like I've become, I feel like I'm the problem, like I always was, instead of, trying to be part of the solution, which now I want to do. And that's what I want to do is, I want to be encouraging, be helpful without being enabling, I guess is
well, and the thing is unfortunately I have been on this side of it.
Yeah. And
full transparency, I've been on this side of it and it's panned out, and they've gotten sober, my brother, and I've been on this side of it and they haven't, my mom.
Yeah.
So I've seen how it ends either way, right? And I think the biggest takeaway for me is letting people know that regardless of the boundaries that have to be set, because there are boundaries, right? Like, you have to prioritize yourself. Sure. And you can't follow people down a road. But letting them know that, like, the love that you have for them, the respect, the compassion, the value you place on that person is unwavering. That doesn't change. No matter what they're going through, no matter what they're struggling with, no matter how their struggles manifest themselves in action, the worthiness and the value is there. It doesn't, it doesn't make you a bad person. Like, I love you. I value you. You are worthy of compassion and respect and love and care, the same at your bottom and your darkest as you are if you were checking all the boxes that are societally, whatever.
Yeah.
And that line between love and enabling is like invisible. I mean, you have to like really be looking for it with like night vision on to see it. And it's just so hard because there isn't anything you can do to help that person. There's about 1 billion things you can do to hurt.
Right.
But there's nothing you can do to help. So like we were talking about Thanksgiving and really hoping that they come for Thanksgiving. Just to be a presence. Not going to push it though, because sometimes they're not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, I'm going to pack a plate. I'm going to take it over, offer to sit, say it's still Thanksgiving. You still deserve to eat Thanksgiving dinner and spend time with family. And if that's rejected, then you just put that plate outside and you say, listen, with a note, I love you. And then you allow them to make that decision. And that's about like letting someone know, like, the love is there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my brother and I were talking this morning, and you know, when he first got sober almost 5 years ago, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
He said that when he went to rehab and he really was like sober, like no longer performative, he's like, you were just there. It was like you just showed back up. And I said, well, I never left. Like, I know it felt like I did, but I didn't. Like, I never stopped loving you. I never stopped valuing you. Never. So it's not that I showed back up. It's that you saw me again. And yeah, there are boundaries that have to be placed there. But I think that the biggest thing that anybody can do if someone is in your life, and not that there's any good time to be struggling with this, but man, this is the worst time of year because seasonal depression and everything is like fucking terrible. It's not like you can just like go outside for a walk.
Oh yeah.
Is just to let that person know, like, I still love you. You are still worthy. This does not define who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
This does not change how much I fucking adore you as a human being. And my life is better with you in it. And you don't have to check off boxes, or you don't have to do anything to earn that respect and value and love for me.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to, complete certain levels of that. Now, there are processes and things that you have to do to save yourself, but the love and compassion and empathy and all of those things, those are here.
Right.
And it's just really difficult. And I say this is wrapping a lot of things up in one, but it's the holidays. There are a lot of people out there like me who are celebrating holidays for the first time without a loved one. It fucking sucks. I cry every day, no matter what we look like on this podcast.
But the positive part of it is you are going to be around loved ones.
And I am not isolating.
Yes.
Like I told you last night, I'm like that fucking Christmas tree. And because that was my mom's thing. Like, I remember she would we grew up with very minimal means, but the one thing she would save up all year and she'd buy herself like a real Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. And she would decorate it. And that was her thing, was like a big, 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 beautiful, decorated, fancy Christmas tree. And so the Christmas tree has always been a thing for us. She, thought it was blasphemy that we had a fake tree, but, I don't want the mess, and we have animals. We also didn't have pets growing up, so it made a difference. But, this year, that Christmas tree is like, it really is like a symbol of all the things I am struggling with. I love it. It's beautiful, but every ornament I put on it just invokes so many emotions. So it might take me, I might be finishing decorating the Christmas tree on Christmas morning, which, whatever.
You'll have it done the next day or two. Just because I know you.
You have so much faith in me.
Your OCD will kick in. Like, I got to get this done.
That's what it is the hyper-focus OCD hasn't quite kicked in yet.
Well, and the thing you got to remember, too, is, especially with, Lily still being in the house, is that, for her, Christmas is her favorite holiday, too. So, this is it is a big deal for her. She puts her own tree up in her room. Oh,
listen, I'm not going to lie. If we didn't have kids...
We talked about it. Yeah, it's like we would be
in there wouldn't be a tree at the beach somewhere. Yeah. I'd be like, I am going to be on a beach getting a tan.
What's that movie? 4 Christmases, I think, with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, but I wouldn't cave. I wouldn't cave to the family. I wouldn't. I'd be like,
I'm just saying that would be us. Yeah, it would be.
But if you've lost someone, I reach out, right? Like, it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And then also, if you have someone who's struggling during the holidays, that can be really difficult too. Because
community's big.
How do you, you have this person and it's the holidays and boundaries and, I didn't spend the last 2 holidays with my mom for boundaries, but also anger and a lot of resentment. And I'm working through that, but, just how do you allow yourself to be there and show someone you love them and that you are open to them while also protecting yourself? Yeah. And it sucks for you. It never gets easier, but this is literally the first time you've been on this side of it. And it is, oof.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough because you don't know how it's going to end. Like, we know, not the end, but we know how your story ended. I know how my brother's story ended.
Yeah.
I know how my best friends, even my mom, I know how that ended. Though it's not happy, like, there's nothing I can do about it. And not that there's comfort in that, but there's completion in that. Like, I can't invite her over for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
This one's so open-ended. There's so many things that are unknown. And that's difficult.
Yeah. And, on top of that, I've got some ailing grandparents that my mother's having to deal with right now because they live a few states away. And, all of a sudden I find out my dad's having some stuff done actually this morning, which is a little worrisome for me. So it's, I've had all this stuff just like all of a sudden come up and I'm having to deal with it. And I have no control over any of it. I mean, it's just, there's nothing I can do. My mother, God love her, she's been through cancer a couple times and I drank my way through it.
And she's a fixer. She always tries to fix.
She fixes everybody.
Well,
herself.
She tries.
She tries
to. Yeah.
And, I really wasn't mentally like there because, I turned to something else to alleviate pain. And now I don't have anything to turn to other than being a supportive person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been hard. I've been through a lot of emotions over the weekend, stuff that I haven't felt before, especially with the thought of losing someone, what you went through last year.
This year. No. I know it feels like last year.
No, yeah. And I'm sorry, this year. My mind's just going.
Mm-hmm.
It's I haven't gone through that. And it's hard and morbid to think about, because it's going to happen. It happens to everybody, just not on the same day. But when you've just gone along and it hasn't happened to you, now all of a sudden it's like hitting you square in the eyes. It's like, fuck. And it's relying on my family, relying on you, my kids and stuff like that. So it's been tough to navigate, and I will talk to my therapist about it. And I'll get through it. I've been journaling like fucking crazy, which is good. I've been getting that out. And then obviously, having this as a platform has helped out.
I think being emotional and talking about things is very healthy, though. Like that's the thing is, like, I think that it's worse whenever people just act like everything's hunky dory and you want to present a certain way. Yeah. I mean, this has been a challenge for us too, because both of our mental health is, when I say struggling, I mean, we're fine, but like, it's a lot of feels.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, you rely on your therapy to give you tools and talk and all of your, reframe and me and all these different things, but it is lonely.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, the grief I feel over losing my mother is untouchable. And it's so crazy because, like, when I talk about her in real life, like, I just sob, but on here, like, I don't cry. Mm-hmm. And I am a private crier. The thing that pisses me off most is I'm an angry crier most of the time. And so we'll be arguing. I'm like, God damn it, Yeah. And I'm like, but it's lonely. It's lonely because nobody, I mean, I feel like for the rest of my life, no matter what I do, no matter how happy my life is and how wonderful it is and all that stuff, there will always be this foundation of grief, and everything's sort of built on top of that. And the way that I feel it is, it's always there. Sometimes it's just in the background, like kind of quietly.
But it's nothing you're just going to get over.
No, it's always there.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes,
every year you're
every
going to have
second of every day. Like, it's not even like just holidays and moments, it's like a chronic illness. Well, it's always there.
I think the holidays are going to elevate
flares it up.
Yeah, it's gonna elevate it.
It's like a chronic illness. It's like it's always there.
It's always going to be there. It's just how
your stomach is always
how
hurting.
You deal with it, how you navigate it.
Yeah, like your stomach's always hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you eat the wrong foods, then it causes it to flare up. And that's how I explain grief. Like, it's always there. Sometimes it takes over.
Sure.
Like yesterday it took over. And then sometimes it's like 50-50. And then sometimes it's just kind of like quietly in the background.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say quietly, that's not really, but it's just sort of like the volume's turned down. But for the rest of my life, everything, you know, like I'll always want to pick up the phone and be like, oh my God, I need to call mom, or mom would have loved this, or whatever. And it's terrible. It's terrible. It is. And I don't like to quantify grief, right? Because losing someone is losing someone is losing someone. And we really should have a podcast episode about it because it's very deep. No. Well, no, I don't even think that this isn't even like
we're not
drop in the
diving deep in it.
But my mom's death was very tragic in every way you can imagine. And it will stick with me forever. Like, it will stick with me absolutely forever. But what it does also is it pushes me to want to be better.
Yeah. It
pushes me to want to be better and make sure that I check in on myself. And yeah, I mean, grief is, it is the hardest thing, the most painful thing I have ever gone through in my entire life. Ever. Not even close. I love you so much, but like even in your darkest days, it doesn't touch it. I'm not talking about how you felt. I'm talking about how I felt in your darkest days. That did not, I'm not trying to say I know how you feel. But at the same time, I'm here talking about it. I'm gonna get my ass down there and decorate the Christmas tree. And I refuse to let myself isolate. I told you that yesterday. I was like, I'm sad, I'm pissed off, I'm anxious, I'm all these different things. My OCD is like out of whack. Like, and if you have OCD, you understand my OCD yesterday was out of whack in a sense of not like, oh, I was OCD and like, I like hyper focused and got shit done. It was like, I was hyper focused and my OCD was out of control to the point that there was like, it was like picking a scab until you're down to your bone. Like, it's like, there's no completion. I don't even know what I'm searching for. And then I'm going to pivot a little bit here because that's what I do. This little guy popped up on my chin. You see that? For anybody out there? No, I don't have it. Look at that.
Okay.
I'm going to call him Larry.
Nice. Larry,
the double chin pimple. That was great. Terrible. I woke up this morning and I was like, of course that's going to happen. But I mean, whatever, right? Like, if anything, it made me laugh this morning. I looked in the mirror and I was like, I look like I have a double chin because I have this big ass, like, stress pimple on my chin. All right.
I get them like around my eyes now from sweat all the time. I'm like, I'm used to it at this point. It's like, Jesus Christ.
But such is life, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, and we'll cry about it and we'll talk to our therapist about it and we'll get on here about it and we'll laugh at our pimples about it. Because that's what life is. It's beautifully tragic and awesome. And, you know, even through the pain and even through the grief, and I think that you can agree with this with the situation we're going on, it doesn't make me not want to live. It doesn't make me not want to, you know, be sober or not have Thanksgiving. But I know that is a very real reality for a lot of people struggling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't as lucky as we are to have this platform and have each other. So I say all of that, which is very long-winded, to say we are here. Like, it is Thanksgiving and our door's open. If you don't have family, if you don't have a place to go, if you don't have someone to talk to, we're here. Like, if you're in our Knoxville area, like, come eat.
Yeah.
Come eat. Even if you're not,
or if you're struggling and need to reach out to somebody, just reach out to us on Instagram.
We'll FaceTime. Hell, maybe we'll even do like a Instagram live.
Or something, yeah.
Get out of my head. On Thanksgiving to be like, no matter where you are, like, you know, just come exist. Like, no, never alone. That's what we say, right? Yeah. Never alone. And just show up. Those are like our two things.
Well, I'll end on this. I am, especially over the past 18 months, I'm very thankful for you. You have been an incredible rock in my life and have helped me through a lot of shit. And you've hung through a lot of shit too, as we've put on here. But being able to come up, I mean, I came up with this crazy idea to do this, and this has been your baby. This is really your podcast. I'm just the idiot behind the microphone. That's what I tell everybody.
Whatever.
Because she literally does everything. So when we have a cast party, it's just me and her. But I'm very thankful for you, especially this year. You've been incredible. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this can understand and have heard you. And I get rave reviews about you all the time, about what an incredible person you are. You're a great human. Thank you very much.
Well, and I'll say this, okay? I'm not a cakewalk.
No, but it's a lot of fun.
I mean, if anybody knew, really,
I like a little crazy.
What like rotates inside this head, I don't know. But in all seriousness, I'm thankful for you too. I'm thankful for your sobriety.
Yeah, me too.
I'm thankful for you choosing me. Because for so long, you didn't.
Yeah.
And I think I told you that the other day. Like, you choose me. I mean, you choose yourself, but I'm talking about what I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
That you choose me, that, you know, you don't always understand when I'm having bad days, just like I don't always understand when you're having bad days. But you always come to me and you're always like, you know, I'm really fucking sorry that today's a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And that really sucks. And you feed me and bring me snacks and make me tea.
And pickles.
And, you know, all my comfort stuff.
Yep.
And I'm grateful for you too.
Cool.
And I love you.
I love you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Now kiss me, fool. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to get
Boom.
notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.